Hello, welcome to Vector Dream, and my name's Anthony. And in this video, we're finally going to get to gameplay on the 1 to 4 player game Australia that I'm showing you today on Tabletopia.com, soon to be on Kickstarter. So let's go ahead and get to the computer and get started. Before we get started, I wanted to briefly say that the rules for this game might be slightly outdated on Tabletopia. I saw some threads on Board Game Geek talking about some minor rule changes, nothing huge. So I think the bulk of what you're going to see here is pretty much the game, but I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there that not everything is probably finalized with this game, and the artwork might be changing a little bit. So you might want to stay tuned to Board Game Geek to find out details on that. Also, too, I'm not affiliated with the makers of the game or Tabletopia. I just thought it would be a fun video run through to do, so that's why I'm doing this. So now I'm going to talk about the end game real quick before we actually go into gameplay. So there are two ways the game can end. The first way is when all players' discs reach or surpass spot 53 on the time track. That includes the old one disc because they will become an active player as we're playing this. So both discs for our game have to surpass that space. And the other one is if a player has lost his port to the old one. So just one player losing their port would trigger the game to end. So if that happens in our solo run through, then we're probably not going to win because we really need to go the duration of this game to probably win. So how does endgame scoring work? What's great is the old ones are an active player in this game along with us. So they're going to score victory points for things at the end, and we're going to score victory points based on this criteria here. So briefly, I'll just show you that for us, we would score 2 victory points for every farm that's non-blighted at the end of the game. Each phosphate disc is also worth 3 victory points. There will be bonuses for personality cards that we might get. For every old one we defeat, we're going to get victory points at the end of the game for that. It does say victory point tokens in hand right here, but we won't be doing that one because there are no victory point tokens inside the solo version on Tabletopia. So I think that could be something that's changing. I don't know. Something to keep in mind there. Also, too, the old ones are going to score victory points for every old one face up that's on the board is going to be worth the victory points indicated on it. We want to make sure to defeat as many as possible. Each unrevealed old one that's face down is worth double the number of points indicated on it, so that's going to be rough if we can't reveal some of those. And let's see, the last one would be each blighted farm that they obtain will be worth 1 victory point for them. Okay, let's get started on gameplay. Everything's all been reshuffled and everything's ready to go. I drew my 5 cards. My port is going to be here. That's where I'm going to start my port. But just real quick, if you haven't watched my previous videos that I did before this one, to learn more about the rules and action spaces and what the old ones do on their turn, then you might want to go back and watch those. I reserved this video for just gameplay because I thought it was a good idea for people that just want to watch gameplay and don't really care about all the intricacies of the rules right now. They just want to kind of get a gist of how this game plays. Then I wanted to make this video just for them. Anyways, let's get started on the gameplay here. So the first thing I like to do before I do anything is to set up my cameras in Tabletopia. And what you can do is sort of set up a camera like this. And let's say we want this to be camera 1. You hold down the shift key and hit the 1 key on your keyboard, and now that's camera 1. Another place that we're going to have to go back and forth to a lot is this up here. So I'm going to set this as camera 2 for now. Oops, I did it twice, but that's okay. It'll still work. Let's go down here and set this up as camera 3. And we'll go with that to start, and I might add more cameras as I play just to sort of keep things moving. So right now, we get to take all these actions. This is a solo game, And we're going to start here, and we're going to get to spend a bunch of time doing a bunch of actions before the old ones get to do anything. So once we pass this disc here, they're going to start doing more stuff. So let's go ahead and think about what sort of actions we want to do. And the first one I really want to do is to start building some railway. So I'm going to place one action cube there. It's going to cost me 3 time. So I'm going to go back up here and spin 3 time. 1, 2, 3. Put that there. And I picked this because my port is kind of behind these hills here, and I need this action to build on hills. Now, I could lay track with this action on coastal or outback regions, but this is the only action that I can use to build through hills. And also, before I move on, I need to pay 1 coal and 1 iron. And I'm going to just toss all these components that I'm spending in this area right here, just because it makes it easier than having to go back and forth like that. So I paid the cost here, I paid the time, and now I'm going to lay the 2 tracks. So let's grab 2 tracks and get them placed. So my first track I'm going to place right here. By holding the control key on your keyboard, you can rotate with the left mouse button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And for my second track, let's see. I can't build here because there's an old one there. So this seems like the obvious place to go so that we can start mining that gold. So now that that action is complete, I'm going to go ahead and take my next action because it's still our turn. We get a lot of turns before the old ones get to do anything. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take that mining action. I'm going to spend 1 time. And I'm going to mine this gold right here. So I'm going to pull these out of here. And you can stack things in this game by holding it over until it turns red like that. And now I have a stack of gold here. And I might do the same thing with this real quick, just to sort of organize my player area a little bit. The good thing about doing this way is that now you can see if I hover over this, I have 9 gold. 1 click on a stack like that and it all turns red and you can move it all at once. I'm just giving you little tips and tricks as we go here. So that's the second action that I've done. Let's look at our time track. So we still have plenty of time left to do stuff that we need to do. So let's see. I could probably build more track out here, which would be good because we're going to need more of these resources to be able to build additional track. So I'm going to go ahead and take that action. I'm going to go up here and spend the 2 time. I'm going to go down here and take 1 coal, 1 iron, and spend that to build 2 tracks on the board. So that will be 4 tracks that we have on the board now. I'm going to place it here. I can't place it here because there's an old one. And I think I'm going to place it here. Now, the reason for that is I can't place it in this hill region either because this action here does not allow for that because we only spent 2 time to do it. So now that I've done that, let's go ahead and take another mining action to get some more of that gold. And we're going to go back up to here to spend 1 time for that. And let's mine this gold right here. We're just preparing for these old ones to attack us here. All right, so now that that's done, let's see here. We could potentially, yeah, let's do that next. Let's recruit some units. All right, I'm going to spend 1 time to do that. And when we take this action, we spend 1 time and we can only recruit 1 unit out here. Except for infantry, as it shows here, there's a 1/1, meaning you can recruit 2 infantry at the same time you recruit infantry. You can get 2, is what I'm trying to say. 1 gold each. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 2. Now, for any other unit out here, we could only recruit 1 at a time. But for infantry, you can do a max of 2 at a time if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and place these guys down in my barracks here. And I'm going to put them down here because this chart shows me what units are good against what types of monsters. So I kind of like that always visible to remind me of that. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's think about what we want to do next. Because I really do want to start clearing out some of these old ones, probably this one, if we wanted to go this way and get some of these resources. So let's start building our forces to sort of attack that old one. I don't feel comfortable with just 2 infantry just yet. So let's go ahead and take an action to gain a personality card. So I'm going to go up here, spin the 1 time. I'm going to go over here and pick a personality card. And I've kind of been eyeing this one right here. This one says, inflict 1 damage on 1 old one during combat. Once per combat. So every time we enter into a combat, we get to do that. And it's pretty strong, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'm going to draw another card and flip this over. Let's see what that one says. If you have an armored car present in combat, you inflict 1 point of damage automatically. So this is if we have an armored car. She's stronger because it doesn't matter what units you have. So I like that. Let's take a look at him. He says, increase off-rail range of all your units by 1, except for armored trains for obvious reasons. And that's a persistent ability. This is a one-time use. Take 4 coal from the supply. So we might need that. This one says, remove 1 old one temple along with any old ones on it. You do not score victory points for doing that. Just so you know, if you defeat enemies, you get victory points, but this is a one-time use and doesn't allow you to do that. This one says, take 4 iron from the supply. So we have a iron and a coal personality card that could help us with that instead of actually mining for those resources. But it's always good to have gold, so we have to also keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and put this down in the player area here. And for the next action, we do have quite a bit of gold. Oh, in fact, I just remembered I did not pay for these infantry units earlier. So that is something that I'll do right now. And I'll have to place a note on the video. Alright, so the next action we could take, we could build some farms, but I'm afraid that soon these guys are going to flip over and they're going to blight those farms pretty quick. So I'm going to wait on that. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this action again. Since there's already 1 cube on it, I have to pay 1 gold and put an action cube to be able to do it again. And this time I'm going to take an artillery unit. That's going to cost me 5. So I'm going to take those and set those over there and place this in my barracks down here. I'll put it over here just in case we get some other stuff. Okay, let's just hold up a second there. This is my future self, and for the action that I just took to build this artillery unit, I forgot to pay the cost of 1 time. So I will be correcting this in the future in this video, but I wanted to tell you that it was a mistake and it did get corrected before it messed up anything. My time track, I still haven't gotten to the purple discs, so the old ones haven't started activating yet. So luckily I caught this before anything went too wrong. I just wanted to let you know that was a mistake. All right, back to the action. So that's a pretty good force right there. Only 4 gold left, so we might have to do something about that. All right, let's think about what other actions I could take. I could attack right now, which isn't a bad idea. I don't want to do this because I don't want to export these. I really kind of need those right now. Although I could get more of those without mining as well. And I can place farms. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to attack this unit right here. Let's try to get rid of this guy. And how attacking works, if you want to go back and watch my video, you can. I'll just briefly say it now that we have to attack anything that's near the railway. So, for example, my infantry here have a 1 off-rail range that they can go to attack something. So they can go 1 hex away from our railway network to attack something, and the artillery has the same. So this does qualify because our rail, if they travel the railway here and they get off here, they only have to travel 1 hex to get to this. So I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, just so you know, the X here relates to how much time we have to spend to send our forces out. For these 3 unit types, you have to spend 1 time each, and these 2, you do not have to spend any time sending those out. They don't have a time cost. So how this works is we have 2 infantry, which will only cost us 1 time. It's not about how many units you have, it's about the unit types that you have. So there will only ever be a maximum of 3 times spent to send out forces. So this whole action here will cost us 2 times. 1 for the infantry units and 1 for the artillery units. So let's go back up there and spin that. And now we are going to attack this unit right here. Now, just so you know, infantry, all these units here, they never leave this board. They never come out here. We just already know that they're traveling to this location. We're going to flip this over. Now, since it was a face down old one, we have the chance to withdraw right now if we decide it's too much for us to take, and I'm not going to do that. But that only works with face down. If it was face up and we decided to attack, then we have to attack. So let's go ahead and resolve this combat. So how that works is we're going to draw an old one card, and we're going to flip this over. We go down the list, there's a zombie right here, and our airship, see, anything on the left is the damage that we get to put on the zombie, anything on the right is the damage he does to us. So in this case, we don't have an airship in this battle, so nothing happens, and he doesn't do any damage to us. So now we can decide, do we want to withdraw now, or do we want to continue fighting? I'm going to continue fighting, so I'm going to draw a second card. I'm going to flip that over. Okay, this is bad. We did no damage to him at all, and he did 1 damage to our forces. Now, I get to put this cube on any, unit that I want. So I'm going to put it right here on the infantry, since I have 2 of them. And also to note that airships only take damage when an airship symbol is in this column. We never assign damage to an airship unless the card tells us to do so. This card also tells us to remove a sanity token. Alright, so far not so good for this battle. I'm going to continue though. I'm not going to withdraw. I'm going to draw 1 more card. Okay, we scored a hit. This symbol here is an infantry symbol, so we get to place 1 damage cube on this zombie out here. Okay, this battle is not over yet, so I am not withdrawing, and I'm going to continue this battle by drawing another old one card. Alright, let's see what we get this time. And nothing happened here, so no damage on either side. I'm hanging in there to draw another card. And we got an armored car. I don't have an armored car in this battle, so nothing happens on that side, and he doesn't damage us either. One more card. Our airship, let's see. An airship would do damage, but I don't have an airship either, and he doesn't do any damage to us. All right, I'm gonna draw another card. And finally, there is the final hit. One infantry symbol, so let's go ahead and resolve that really quick. So he has 2 damage on him. Let's finish resolving the card before we do anything else. I have to take a point of damage, so I'm going to put that damage on my artillery, and he wants a sanity token, so I put that to the side. But the battle is over. We won this battle, and before I forget, I'm going to put these sanity tokens back so that for the next battle we have them. And on these units here, they do have 1 damage. However, we get to keep those units. They go back to our barracks. Let me put that back. So these units go back to our barracks, and now the battle is over. We get to keep this old 1 tile in our player area. So I'm going to put those down here in a stack so that we can look at them towards the end of the game for end game scoring. Also too, I like to put these under here so I can look at that battle took so long because our artillery is poor against zombies. So our artillery didn't really come up, but we had the infantry, which is good against zombies, and they finally were able to take him out before he took us out. I'm going to discard all these cards over here when it turns red. Alright, so that's our discard pile. Okay, one more correction here. This is my future self again, and for the battle you just witnessed versus this zombie, I forgot to use my personality card in Colonel Kaori here. She could have inflicted 1 damage once per combat there, so she could have put 1 damage on him, so we actually only really needed 1 hit to defeat him. It didn't hurt anything, it just made the battle tougher for me, but I really need to remember to use these cards. It is a common mistake that you could run into. Anyways, back to the action. And now, what action are we gonna do next? We did attack there. I could do another attack, however, it would cost me 1 gold, but it might be a good idea. Since we freed up some space here, I could probably put a farm, but I'm still kind of leery about doing that just yet. I really think that we need to take that zombie down. I'd like to recruit some more units, but we already got 2 on there, and it's going to cost me 2 gold, and I only have 4. So I think what I'm going to do is refresh my cubes. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 time to do that. Let's go out here. I'm going to spend 1 time. And I'm going to refresh all these cubes. And I'm going to drag them back to the HQ, like so. So now we're all refreshed. I'm going to recruit some more military units. So let's go back out here and spend 1 more time to do that. Okay, so I put my action cube out here. I expended 1 time. Let's go ahead and buy a unit. I can't afford that. Let's see. An armored car would be nice. What are armored cars good against? Yeah, we'd probably do well with an armored car. Although an airship would be nice too. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and buy an airship. So that's going to cost us 4. I'm going to put those over there. And I'm going to take an airship for my barracks. Alright, so the next action I'm going to do, I'm going to spend 1 time. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to take this card right here. So this one's going to move over. We're going to fill in another card here, flip it over, and it's Hairy Bones. When you mine, take 1 extra cube, disc, not phosphates. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down here with my other card. This is a persistent bonus where all of our units get an off-rail range increase of 1, so that's good. Let's see, what else do I want to do while we still have time before the old ones activate? I should think about mining, probably. I should think about building more track out here. Now, to build track, I would have to go this direction because these old ones are kind of in the way. There's also this old one way over here and a lot of resources down pretty close to us. So let's go ahead and... we don't have any gold as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and build some track. And I'm going to spend this one and I'm going to go up to spend 2 more time. And let's go back down here. Okay, so I need to spend my last coal and iron to build 2 track out here. So I'm going to go ahead and build. And I think I'm going to go for that gold out there. So I'm going to build a track this way. Let me move these around so it'll fit. And the second track, heck, I might as well just go for this phosphate down here. I hate to go back this direction, but it'll give us a way to kind of get to these old ones for combat. All right, let's go back to the player board here. Let's go ahead and take that mining action for 1. We're running out of time here. And let's see, what do I want to mine? Which resource? I think I'm going to go for the gold first. So let's do that. And I'm going to take a minute to stack them. I just like to stack them because it's easier to see what you have. So that's all set. Now let's go ahead and do one more mining action, I would say. And that would take 1 more time. And for this mining action, I'm going to grab this phosphate because this phosphate's worth 3 victory points at the end of the game, as you see here, and we get 1 gold piece back right away. So I'm going to put this gold right here. So we got 4 gold pieces now that we can utilize to buy more units. Okay. So let's think about this for just a second. I have 2 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 airship. I'm thinking that I want to attack these guys over here because these guys are going to activate and start moving towards our base and ports and everything else. So I should probably take an attack action, but before I do that, well, actually I've already taken that action once. Hello there, it's my future self here to finally correct that mistake back at the 11.5-minute mark when I took this artillery unit and I forgot to pay the 1 time for that action. So I'm going to do that right now. We should be on spot 19, so we are running close to time here. All right, well, that fixes that, so back to the action. Okay, so here we are back to the action, and for my next action, I'm gonna take this build a military unit 1 more time. So I'm gonna put my action cube there. I'm gonna pay the cost of 1 time. I'm gonna have to spend a gold to do that since there was already a action cube on that spot. Now I am gonna build this armored vehicle, and this armored vehicle does cost, if you look here, 3 gold. So I'm going to put those over there, and we're going to make room for our armored vehicle down here in our barracks. Okay, so we are running out of time until the old ones activate. We only have 1, 2, 3 more time that we can spend before they start to do things. So I think the best action I could take right now is to attack. And that's because when the old ones start drawing event cards and stuff like that, we're going to have a problem with these flipping over, and these guys are going to start moving towards my port, and I really don't want that. So let's go ahead and fight that particular thing. So I'm going to commit my infantry to my expeditionary force. I'm going to commit... I think I'm going to take a chance and commit my artillery again. And I'm going to bring my airship this time. So for this action, it's going to cost me 1 time for the infantry and 1 time for the artillery. It doesn't matter if we have 2 infantry or not. It's just the different unique types of units you bring cost more time to a maximum of 3. I've already said this before, but I'm just sort of reminding you. The airship does not cost any time to bring along. So we're going to pay that cost of 2 time right now, which puts us on top of the purple disc here. But we'll get to take 1 more action before these guys activate. So let's go ahead and get zoomed back out here. So we put our cube down, we paid the time cost, we have put these guys into our expeditionary force, and now it is time to take them onto the battle. So we're going to travel the rail and we're going to get off here because we do have range. If you remember correctly too, we also have Billy Kneebone who gives us an extra range, but we don't need it for this battle. So let's go ahead and flip this over. Oh, okay. So there is nothing there. So there is no battle. This is just complete empty desert. So let's go ahead and remove that from the game. We actually kind of got lucky there, but at the same time, we did spend time to do that. So I have no gold left, or I would probably take this action again. But I think now might be the time to take that farm action that we haven't taken yet. So let's go ahead and place a cube here. Now, I haven't explained this one yet in the gameplay video, and I'll do it briefly. I've already done this in another video. I've explained all these, but just real quick, on this action, you could build 1 of each kind of farm if you want, but only 1 of each. And each farm that you build, you have to build a different farm. So if you decide to just build 2 farms, they have to be 2 separate kinds of farms. And for each farm that you build, you're going to spend 1 time. But you're going to get 1 gold for each one that you were able to put down. So that's why there's an X here for time. So let's decide what we want to do. I think it might be best. We can't build farm here because there's resources there. We could build a sheep farm there. We could build a sheep farm there. But I think we want to keep these close to our base of operations here because these old ones are going to start giving us trouble. So I think what I'm going to do is just build 2 farms. And I'm going to build the cattle farm. I'll go ahead and draw it. And I'm going to build that sheep farm. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the 2 time. So we're up here now. And let's build these farms. So I'm going to place it here. I'm going to place it here. And I'm going to build those. And I'm going to get 2 gold for my trouble. So the farms have paid off. They've harvested and given us some money to work with for the future here. Okay. Also too, just so you know, if an old one does reach a farm, it will be flipped over to its blighted side and we will lose this farm. Farms are worth 2 victory points at the end of the game, so you want to protect them if you can. Alright, so now that we've surpassed the purple disc, the old ones are going to get to go. And I'm going to do 1 round of their actions to show you how they work, and then I'm going to cut the video there because this is already getting pretty long as is. If people are interested, I'll keep continuing with this playthrough and I'll release an extended playthrough where I finish everything if you want. But for now, I'm going to go on into taking the old ones' actions. So there's 3 things that happen when the old ones get to go that you have to look for. The first thing you have to do on an old one's turn is they get to move only one space up the time track. They will only move one space at a time. And since he landed on an illuminated time space, as you can see every other one is illuminated, that means we have to draw an event card. So that's step 2 of an old one's turn, is to draw an event card. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to make a new camera here, because now we're going to start having to draw these here and there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw one card. Let's flip it over, and we got lucky. There's no event. Great. So the third thing that you would look for on an old one's turn is any face-up old ones out here would be able to move. There are no face-up old ones, so nothing's going to happen. But if there were, we would draw 2 old one cards here, the same cards that we used for combat earlier, and we would be able to do a movement action for them. So basically anything with a circle behind it is what we're looking for movement from the old ones. So let's go ahead and move on into the next turn. Since their disc is still further back than our disc, they get to go again. So they're going to activate again. So their disc goes on top of ours, and as you can see, they're going to get to go one more time before we get to do anything else. So let's go ahead and go through the steps again. So step 1, we move the disc. Step 2, no event card gets drawn. And step 3, since they're not on an illuminated space, no event card will be drawn. So we move to step 3, and as we know, there is no face-up old ones on the board out here. So there's nothing to do for them. So we're getting lucky here, but I'm telling you, it's going to get worse very quickly. All right, so they get to activate one more time, and that's step 1. Step 2, we do have to draw an event card. So let's go ahead and draw another event card, and I'll just place it here. Okay, this one says, reveal the old one in the lowest numbered hex. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to stack that there. We're going to go out to the board, and we're going to reveal the lowest number. Looking at this, it looks like the lowest number is 5, and as you can see, we're looking for these numbers in the lower corner of each hex. So this is the lowest number. We're going to go ahead and reveal that old one. And that looks pretty nasty right there. So that's a Shoggoth, I believe. So he's pretty strong. He's got 4 health, basically, and he's worth 4 victory points at the end of the game. So that is their turn. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Wait a second. There's step 3. Step 3 is to draw 2 movement cards here, or 2 old one cards for movement. So I'm going to grab these both and flip those over. So let's look at the first one. There's no circle behind him. You basically look for that icon. There's no circle here, and there's no circle here, so he will not move. So we got lucky there. And let's go ahead and discard those 2 cards there. So that is kind of how this game works. You're going to continue, with taking some actions. We're going to surpass their disc again, and they're going to get to take more actions. And eventually, we're going to flip over more of these guys. There's going to be a lot of nasty enemies that are going to come out, and they're going to start moving towards our farms and our port to try to hurt us. So we're going to have military forces on hand to repel those guys. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the video there, because I think that's enough for you to understand the gameplay. But I'm going to do more, because I really think that this is when the game really starts to get interesting, when the old ones start activating along with us, and we have a lot of time left in this game, so this could be a really interesting finish. So I'll probably do an extended video and see how far I get and see how interested people are in the next parts of this. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I hope you liked the run through so far, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, thank you.